Hello, cartomancers. April here on Tarot and Witchery. And it's that time of the year where we start making the descent into ourselves. It's the dark half of the year. Sorry for those of you who are making that ascent up out of the darkness who are in the southern hemisphere. But in the northern hemisphere here, we're kind of going within. And so today I want to give you 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 decks for doing ancestral work. Before I do, I want to let you know that I have a video on setting up an ancestral altar. And I want to say, hey, if you're interested in learning about cartomancy more, you should sign up for my newsletter down below in the description box, because when I put a class out, you'll be able to see it. Okay. These are very particular to me, and so maybe you'll want to adapt this for yourself, but deck number 1, and the decks are listed in the description box down below, or you can just pay attention and write them down. Deck number 1 is the Forhoxa Tarot by MJ Cullinan. Now, you know, ancestral work is so deeply personal, and you may look at this deck and say, that does not feel like my ancestors at all. What I like about this, it's a Fae deck, and there's something very, of course, otherworldly about the Fae. I find that when I work with my ancestors, I do have ancestors that are kind and soft, but when I am doing ancestral work, it's pretty direct. The messages that I'm receiving are pretty direct and pretty strong, and this is a strong tarot. The images are strong, and the writing from MJ is just incredibly strong. This is not a deck that I take out when I want to have my hand held, but there's something about the imagery that kind of helps me move into another plane, and I think that's really important when I'm doing ancestral work, is I really want to get kind of outside of my everyday mundane self, and I want to be able to open up my consciousness in a way that will allow me to move into the liminal and convene with my ancestors. And so I just feel like this deck really does that. It kind of gets my mind out of the way in a lot of ways, because it is so foreign. The ideas in here are very foreign, and it also, as a tarot, can take me to a different place as well. Like if you're a seasoned tarot reader, then you're going to feel like, oh, I know what this card means. But here we have the Council of Monarchs, which is the Hierophant on here. And so that's a very different feel to have a council instead of one person. Like we have a group, a representation of the elements that are teaching us. So yeah, I like this for that reason. I feel like for me, what's really important is allowing myself to go into a liminal space and think differently and allow new things to come through. And so number 1 deck is MJ's deck, and I love her stuff. You'll find this in the box down below. And I also have a walkthrough of this as well that I'll try to remember to put in. Okay. Deck number 2 is an oracle deck. It is the Earth Wisdom Oracle, and I have used this on my ancestral altar. Sorry, the Earth Wisdom Oracle is by Barbara Moore, and the artwork is by Christina Scagliotti. So, yeah, I love the artwork on this. I did edge it myself in different colors of green, and it's got a book in here. It's got a little book. I have cracked it. I have read it. I do look at it. But we'll get into that in a second. Okay, so I am a very nature spirit. I'm a very earth-centered spirituality. I am studying Druidry. So this really speaks to me. This speaks to my magical self. It's very mythical. Again, it's very otherworldly, and yet, it does tie me to this plane. And so a lot of times we talk about in in shamanic, and I'm going to use the word shamanic because I actually studied with Native American shamans, and so that is a word I'm comfortable with. If that is something that bothers you, please just plug in the word that works for you. I don't want to get into an argument about it. I actually lived on the reservation. I'm very comfortable with this word, and I think there are shamans all over the world, so I don't want to get on a soapbox here, but this is what we would call the Middle Earth realm, is where we have the past, present, and future, where we can travel and see our ancestors. So you'll travel to lower world or upper world, or you'll stay in middle world. And there's a lot of stuff that goes on in middle world. I don't want to get into talking about that, but middle world is where I want to go when I want to convene with my ancestors, people that have passed, gurus, people that have lived here, even places of like genus loci spirits reside in that level. And so what I'm going to find here is I'm going to find something that ties me to this world that I live in, like the land, the earth, the place where my ancestors lived in. And it's really going to open me up to connecting in that way, and connecting. This is just enough outside of the norm to get my mind in the liminal, that between the world spaces, while allowing me to connect with this realm. And so the way that I use this is sometimes I will ask a question of my ancestors, and then I will draw a card, and these all have keywords on them. I do not need to use the book. And I always encourage you not to use the book at first, and to let yourself figure out what it means to you. So boundaries, strength, awareness, grace, heart healing, and then I can go to the book. I can go to the book and read up on it if I feel like I should. They're numbered. The book is numbered. Very nice, easy to move into. So let me get in here. I need to get into English. Here we go. And so there is another languages here. So they're very simple and straightforward, but like I'll read this one for divine light. And it's got, what I like about this is that it's got the different, I guess I could read heart healing. It's got the bleeding hearts. So it's got a plant ally in it, which I like. Bleeding heart heals broken hearts and wounds caused through relationship issues. So, I might be asking something of my ancestors, and then this comes up and I'm like, wow, okay, this really was about relationship issues. And then here it's got a stone as well. So it's got emeralds, and it talks about what that means. A broken heart is one of the hardest wounds to heal, because we often go about it wrong, acting stoically, lashing out in anger, or indulging in non-productive self-pity, and consequently distract ourselves from actually feeling the emotions. So, it goes into a little bit of this, and then it has like a little saying, my heart hurts. I feel the pain and name the source of it. I allow myself to experience it even though it is hard. I honor the experience of my heart. I release the pain. So sometimes I might be working with this, and I will choose to draw a card and then just look at it and kind of reflect and talk with my ancestors about it. And then sometimes I will go further, and I will decide to maybe read the bottom part and then come back with other questions that I have. And I might break out a tarot for that, or I might just journal on it. I might actually even put that out for me, the little saying at the bottom. I might put that out, or my reflection or takeaway out somewhere where I can see it. So again, maybe even leaving the card out if that's something that I need to, or leaving it on my altar for a while. Deck 3 is the Witch's Wisdom Tarot. And this is by Phyllis Curott and Daniel Barlow, whose art I love. This is such a beautiful deck, you guys. It's the illustration style. I love Daniel Barlow. It's really lovely. Like, the book is really lovely on this. It's like a linen finish. The writing is exceptional. They actually channeled. It comes with a bag. I'm not going to take them all out, but it comes with a bag. I barely got this back in there. So you can leave it out. I don't really consider this a tarot because it's backwards on the system. But they channeled these cards and, oops, we'll see if that works. They channeled these cards. They worked together on it. Apparently I'm just going to have to pay attention. And they're just profound. This is such a different and intense deck. This deck is so intense. This is not a deck that like you want to do a big spread on unless you've got days to work on it, because going into this is deep soul work. And that is what makes this so good for working with my ancestors, is I can really dig deeply into what is going on for me. I can even sit down at my altar. Here's another idea. You can sit down at your altar and kind of flip through the cards and say, I'm just feeling like I need to delve into this. You know, here's the Great Mother, number 19, which would actually be the goddess, the Empress. If we were numbering it the other way, it would be number 3 normally in the tarot, which is why I'd consider this an oracle and not a tarot. Go ahead and argue with me down below. But so I might say, wow, I don't know what it is, but I sit down and I'm just flipping through the cards like I am right now, and I feel like I really need to look up this. Oh, this is so interesting. Okay. I'm feeling this, like something about this here is really calling me. And so I might meditate and ask my ancestors to pathwork into this card with me and talk to me about the card. And then when I'm done, I can break out the book and I can read up on it. Oop, I've got one in there. It's good to know. I probably should take that out, because then I go, oh no, I had that in there. That was my last card. And you can see I've studied with this because I've got a marker in it. These are the greatest little markers, you guys. They're like they're book markers, but they're magnetic. So yeah, so number 3 is the Witch's Wisdom Tarot. I love working with this deck. Again, it really takes me super deep, and so I use it when that's what I need. When I need to go really deep into something, and ancestral work is that for me. Deck number 4 is the Brady Tarot. Go ahead and laugh at me. I still have my dust cover on here. I've been keeping it like that. If you've been on my channel for more than a hot minute, then you know that I absolutely adore the Brady Tarot. The Brady Tarot is written by Rachel Pollack and illustrated by, last name Brady. Oh, come on. Emmy Brady. These are wood blocks. So the art on this is incredible. This was a Martin made me do it. I love this. The reason why I use this tarot deck in particular for ancestral work is that this feels very tribal. It feels very, very tribal to me. And I think I think all of us by nature are tribal. And so the fact that this brings me into that tribal space helps me to reach out into the ethos and connect with my tribe, my ancestors, the people that are a part of me, whether they're ancestors of spirit or they're ancestors of blood, you know, or even ancestors of place. So to me, this really does it. And the writing in here is incredible. The writing in here is so wonderful. It starts off with this in italics here, which just kind of speaks to your soul, and then it goes into an explanation. So it's, and it does, one thing I really love about this deck and this book is the fact that they are faithful to go into the symbolism. Like you're thinking like, why is that? Why, you know, why is there this one bird and the other blue jays are attacking it? Like they will talk about why that is happening. And I just find that this deck takes me deep into myself in a way that makes me feel connected. that's that tribal piece. It makes me feel connected. And that's when I'm doing ancestral work, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to connect with my people. I'm trying to connect with those that are here, that have walked with me, that want to help me in this lifetime by reconnecting with me in the spirit realm. Okay, that's number 4. Number 5 is the Wisdom of the Divine Feminine Oracle by Jenny Han and Jessica I think it's Ricchetti. This deck is beloved to me. This is probably the number one deck. Like, this normally lives on my ancestral altar, honestly. And the reason is because at this point in my life, I am perimenopausal. I am really getting in touch with my divine feminine self. And I find that this is the most gentle of all of the decks that I've shown you so far. This is the most gentle one of all. And let's do it this way because of the shadows. We're at that time of the year. Shadows are long. Great keywords. And the illustrations are amazing. I mean, they really speak volumes to me. A lot of times I don't even need to read the book. Look at that joy. Oh my goodness. So for me right now, I'm really connecting with myself in the divine feminine, and this deck does it for me. It helps me to connect with my female ancestors and that part of myself that I am healing, that I'm coming into as I nurture the birthing of my crone self during this time. This just feels so right. And the writing, let's talk about the writing. The writing is so good. So good. And there's several things that you can do with this deck that make it so great for ancestral work. Again, I always say start with your own feelings, your own thoughts. Talk about that with your ancestors. Talk about it with yourself. Talk out loud. Write about it, whatever it is for you, before you go to the book. But you have the keyword at the top, and then you have a little saying at the top, and then you've got kind of a concise sort of directive for this card, whatever the card is. And then it talks about it, so it's very conversational. It's got contemplations, and then it's got a ritual that you can even do. And so I really like that I can dive super deep. I can read the ritual and then say, how could I adapt that for what I'm doing in my ancestral work? Maybe some of you aren't into ritual at all. I'm not a super ritualist, so I tend to make things really simple for myself. I do love the contemplations. This is where I feel like this really shines at my altar, is that I can, like this one here on embodiment, am I embodying the energies I wish to embody? I am dealing with living on this plane. So having practical applications for taking whatever I'm getting with working with my ancestors and bringing it into my own body so that I can live it or deal with it or remove it or heal it or touch it or love it or whatever it needs. Having these contemplations to me really help me to do that in a very practical way. And I got to tell you guys, I'm kind of a practical person. I want to get something out of whatever I do. It's why I like reading tarot for other people, because I like working with people and helping them find practical strategies for being their best self. That's what I love about reading for other people. The last deck, sorry you guys, oh my gosh. The last deck that I'm going to recommend is that you go through your collection and you find something that feels as though it speaks to your roots. I actually have 2 roots, and so I'd like to get another deck. I'm going to show you mine. It's the Druid Craft. Look at how old this is. I just love this. I'm studying Druidry. My dad's side of the family is primarily like Welsh, Irish, English, a lot of Welsh. And so this Celtic deck really works for me. But I am like 48% like German, French, Danish. It's kind of all that area there. So I would like to find something that's maybe a little bit more Danish. I do have a Norse tarot that I could use, but for me, this brings me into a place of connecting with my Welsh ancestry, my Celtic ancestry. And so my last deck that I recommend to you is that you find a deck that feels like it connects with where you know you're from. You know, if you know you're from Africa and you don't know a lot about your ancestors, find a deck that feels like it's calling beyond what you know. Find that deck that ties you to the land, that ties you to the spirit of the land. You know, if you're from Poland, there's some great Polish decks out there. My goodness, you know, find something that speaks to the myths that are a part of your culture that you are from, and try working with that in a way so that you can tie your consciousness to the land that you come from, and can groove something through the cards that you can communicate in a special way with where you're from. Okay, that's it, you guys. Let me know what decks you use to connect with ancestors. I do have an ancestral course, but it's not available right now. So if you're interested in doing that in the future, I suggest you sign up for my newsletter, which is down below. Thanks for being here, you guys, and checking this out. I know this is not something that everyone is into, but if you made it all this way, do me a favor and tell me where your ancestry is from down below in the comments. And until we meet again, may you find a deck that serves to draw you into the beauty of the tapestry of where you come from.